Mother-in-law manipulated us into letting her stay temporarily, but I'm certain her cruise plans will conveniently fall apart, trapping her with us indefinitely. My husband and I have been together for 5 years, married for 1. His parents are divorced and he is an only child. Mill never lets him forget that he's all she has. Phil remarried to a nice lady who has 2 adult daughters that we get along with. I actually met my husband through one of them. Mill wants to make plans with us constantly. She tries to keep a full social calendar and gets butthurt if we have previous plans or just want to have a quiet night in. When we were younger, she would pay for us all to do something we couldn't afford to do as students and take us out to lunch afterwards. It seemed like she was a nice and generous mom. I regret this now. My husband is good about telling her no, but we pay for it the next time we see her. She mopes and asks us how our quiet night in was in a sad voice. She also gets upset if we hang out with DH's father or stepsisters. We didn't know better when we were younger and both did the whole it's easier to lie thing. Now we've set a precedent of being way too careful around her feelings and letting her butt into our plans. She is over at our house about 4 times a week. Usually she stops by to drop something off and it's always a bullshit reason. She's really lonely and she needs real friends. Her lease will end soon at her apt and she plans to live on various cruise ships all summer before she signs a new lease. The plan seems sketchy to me. Every time she explains it, she has a weird reason why she can't go on a cruise right away or stay in an Airbnb. She's taking the first cruise in May and then she'll come back in September to start a new job. The lease ends in 2 weeks and she just bothered to ask if she can stay with us a week ago. She's acting like this is an emergency situation and she might become homeless and die of the cold. It might be paranoid, but I'm afraid that she'll move in and the cruise plans will magically fall apart. We'd have to evict her and she'd drag out the process. I don't know what to do. My husband says it's just until May, but I just don't trust her. I have a bad feeling about this. Every time we ask her about the cruise stuff, she acts shifty and tries to change the subject. My husband doesn't see it, but I do. If I was her, I'd leave for the cruises now when they're probably less crowded, still do 4 months, come back in August instead of September to be able to get stuff in order for her new apartment and new job. Am I crazy? That just makes more sense, right? The plan she is now will give her 3 days to get her things together before her new job starts. Maybe I'm missing crucial details. I don't know. Update 2. My Mill is the one who claimed she was going to live on cruise ships all summer. The cruise story was fishy, so I started to poke her story with a stick. First, I came up with a brilliant idea when she came over this afternoon. She came by to drop off a casserole dish that she thought was ours. She didn't really, it was an excuse. Like usual, she came to drop something off but immediately sat down in my living room. I pulled out my laptop and asked her to tell us which cruises she is going on so that DH and I can think of joining her for a week. Normal Mill would be so excited and jump at the opportunity. She acted awkward and said that she doesn't know which cruise she will be on yet. I acted surprised and said that she probably won't be able to go now, because it's too late to make such a complicated and specific booking. She said that it's no trouble and I shouldn't worry about it. She is certainly hiding something. My other thought is that it might be something she is embarrassed by. Maybe she'll be taking a singles cruise and doesn't want us to know? I told DH that she can't move in or I will go bonkers. He said he doesn't want to deal with her crying and whining when we tell her. I volunteered to do it, because I don't trust him to give her a firm no, and I also said what would be worse, hearing her cry now, or having her cry later when we have to make her leave? If we have to make her go, we won't be able to escape the crying. She'll be in our house. If you say no now, at least you can hang up the phone. This is the argument that won him over. I can't believe my husband, a grown man, is so afraid of having to hear someone cry and whine. I tried posting this earlier, but Reddit ate it. It's long, sorry. I hate holidays with Mill. She gets so upset if there are any other people there because she needs undivided attention from DH and I. We gave her Easter because it's a holiday that I DGAF about. I made a comically tiny roast for the 3 of us, and it was just as awkward as you would imagine. Most of it was fine. Not great, but fine. Once dessert started, it became un fracasso grande. Mill said this evening has been so nice with the 3 of us. Just think, we could be doing this every night soon. She winked when she said this, which nearly triggered my gag reflex. DH and I had mutually agreed to wait until after the holiday to say anything to Mill, and we were dumb and didn't have a plan for what to do if she brought it up first. I looked sideways at him to see if we could silently agree on something. All he could communicate to me with his facial expression was I'm panicking. Mayday, mayday. I just decided I may as well go for it. Actually, Mill, since you brought it up. We have discussed it together a lot and we decided that we can't host you. We will help you find a place to stay and help you with moving, but that's all the help we can offer. She looked like I slapped her, and asked me why with tears in her eyes. I said that we had a bad experience with my family staying for only 2 weeks, and that 6 or more weeks was not a burden on my marriage that I was willing to undertake. I love and value my husband too much. She started crying in earnest, mascara running down her face, the whole 9 yards. She was so sad we didn't care about her awful situation and in between sobs acted very upset and blindsided that I could ever think that she would be a burden on my marriage. Notice that she directed it all at me, not DH. He was being silent as a mouse, damn him. I couldn't help but feel angry at this. She was the entire reason that we eloped instead of having an actual wedding, and she crashed our honeymoon. She has been a burden from the beginning. By God, she actually interrupted us having sex a few days ago, and it wasn't the first time. We both sat and watched her son and talk about how we have no regard for her feelings. I shouldn't have said it, but I said, to be honest, Mill, you're already a burden on my marriage. At this moment she started crying. There is no other way to describe it. She was clutching her abdomen and just screaming directly into the table, followed by 3 heaving sobs, another long scream, 3 or 4 more heavy sobs. It was like she was trying to make as much noise as she possibly could. It backfired. Instead of making us guilty, we looked at her like she's a crazy person. This is progress coming from DH. I said, Mill, you seem to be determined to shut this conversation down by crying, as usual. It's hard to take your tears seriously when you use them to manipulate us so often. She snapped out of it immediately. It was so fast, I got whiplash. She looked at me and said, I will go and cry at home then, where at least I won't have anyone telling me that I'm a bad person for being upset. And she left. That was it. All DH and I could talk about when she left was her immediate 180 sobbing like someone had died, to immediately quieting down when I said that tears weren't working. It was creepy. So creepy. She sent a text an hour later to DH. It was basically asking him if he agreed with me, said in a way that implied that he couldn't possibly agree, and if not, what the hell he was going to do about it. Like she could snap her fingers and make him override his wife for her. He and I talked about it, and he ended up writing this response to her and sending it after I agreed it was a good one. The decision was mutual. We can still help you find a new place and move your things. She texted back, don't bother. The next morning I got this text from her. I've had some time to think about the things you said last night, and you're right. The 10 minutes I see you every week must be a terrible burden. Poor you. You won't have to put up with it anymore. I won't miss having to choke down your disgusting food. Do us all a favor and stop making that lemon cheesecake, everyone hates it. We had the lemon cheesecake for Easter dinner the night before. It's DH's favorite and he always opts for it instead of birthday cake, which she is salty about because she used to bake his cake for him every year. People request it from me all the time. She's full of shite. Not that I need to defend myself to you all, but I'm a good cook. She is just a picky eater. She hates most spices, onions, all peppers, most beans, any meat with fat that she can see, tomatoes unless they're pureed, meat with bones, all seafood, mushrooms, any potatoes other than red potatoes, and most vegetables. It's hard to serve her food and I do my best, but seriously? This woman hates garlic bread. Who hates garlic bread? That's the last we've heard from her. DH and I are going to see a couples counselor because I insisted. Overall he has started to see my side, especially after that little show she put on for us on Sunday. He knows she's a total fucknut, but he still thinks he has obligations to her. I'm trying to show him that he doesn't, but it's a process. Update 3. I really need a name for her that isn't Mill, who claims she will live on cruise ships for 4 months. I like Choco Ono because she screams like Yoko, claims she has to choke down my food, and is highly disruptive to any group dynamic. I also love some of the ones people came up with that reference her hatred of garlic bread. Lots of funny vampire names were suggested. She went 9 whole days without texting us. Can you believe it? She finally texted DH the following: this is ridiculous. I think I raised you better than this. She does this a lot. She sends a cryptic text that shows she's upset and doesn't say why. She wants people to ask her questions so that she can unload all of her feelings onto them. She won't do it unless you put up some pretense by asking her the questions she is fishing for. I find this so exhausting and I'm trying to get DH to recognize this pattern. He doesn't see it because he isn't fluent in passive-aggressive. Somehow, despite being raised by her, he didn't take the bait. We discussed it and agreed that her text wasn't an effort to reach out like an adult. It came across as pissy and rude, and I'm sure that she is angling for an apology. Not going to happen. Okay, so that's all that has happened with her. Now I need some personal advice. We have an appointment with a couples counselor. It's next Tuesday. How do I prepare for this? Do I write down some of my thoughts and questions to bring? Do I just show up? On the one hand, I feel like I won't be able to use my time effectively if I don't have any preparation. On the other hand, I think that there is some value to letting the process be more organic. I don't know. I find myself making lists in my head, rehearsing things I want to say, and finding gentler ways to say them. I just want so badly for something to click with DH. He's been having a lot of aha moments lately. It seems like some absence from his mother has given him time to actually think and process. I hope this continues. I sense a breakthrough on the horizon. I guess my question is, how do DH and I get the most out of therapy? Is there something we should know? April 22, 2018, she finally broke. Her silent treatment never lasts very long. 3 weeks is actually pretty impressive coming from her. She texted, I call a truce, like we're at war? DH and I have been focusing on each other and couples counseling, not planning a surprise attack. She wants to meet and she has a few odd requests, some of which will not fly. I don't have the text, it's on DH's phone and I don't want to be a snoop, so I'll ask him if he can forward it to me later. The one request that really stands out is that she wants to meet with us separately, because she doesn't want to be outnumbered. She wants us to meet in a neutral location and one of us waits in the car while the other gets to be subjected to her tears. Nice try, cruise control, but we happen to know what triangulation is. She specifically asked that we don't meet anywhere that has food. She doesn't want to meet in a restaurant or a coffee house. That's fine, because it's impossible to find a restaurant that she can stomach with her long list of dietary dislikes. DH hasn't responded, but he has read receipts turned on so she knows we got it. We're going to think it over and talk about it in counseling, which will be on Tuesday. She's waited 3 weeks, she can wait a little longer. The one thing we immediately agreed on is that we're not doing the bullshit separate meetings thing. We're a couple, and we'll be treated as such. The end. Edit. Is it weird that I kind of feel like I don't have anything to say to her? I just have no desire to meet. She's done so much and been such a pain, but it seems like nothing we say will ever get through to her. I just feel like meeting gives her what she wants, interaction, and will walk away from the meeting angry or disappointed. This isn't something that she's ever done before. First we got a message from a friend asking us if she's okay because he saw her at the store and she looked deathly ill. That was a week ago. We said she's probably depressed and quickly explained that she wanted to move in. We didn't think much of it. Cruise control usually texts or calls, so it was strange to us that she was trying to FaceTime with DH. She called on FaceTime several times and he didn't pick up. Finally she just recorded a video of herself and texted it to him. She has lost a considerable amount of weight, her eyes look sunken. She really looks bad. In the video she tells DH that she hasn't been able to make herself eat because she's so sad that he won't talk to her. It's been almost a month and she's lost a lot of weight. She looks like a corpse. Do we treat this problem as an eating disorder and try to get her treatment for anorexia, or do we view this as a really insane manipulation tactic and refuse to give in? She's literally killing herself. She's obviously doing this at least partly to get our attention, otherwise she wouldn't have tried to have face-to-face meetings and video calls with us. I am trying to find out if we can have her involuntarily committed to a facility that treats eating disorders, but usually it's parents sending their kids there, not the other way around. It's also too late in the day to make phone calls, so that we'll have to wait until tomorrow. We've reached out to our couples counselor, but this is really outside of his purview. Edited to add, we are definitely calling APS, asking the police for a welfare check, and looking into our options for having her committed. Can I ask a favor? Many of you have posted some amazingly helpful quotes and excerpts from books that have helped you, and I'm compiling them to give to DH. He is really struggling with believing that keeping a distance is the best thing we can do for her. Anything you can think of that would reassure him, and me, if I'm being honest, that the choice we're making is the right one is really appreciated. I can't thank you all enough for the literature recommendations you've given us, they're helping us so much. I've made calls. I've begged and pleaded. They've seen the video she sent as well as photos comparing her weight 1 month ago to her weight now. She has them convinced that I am a spiteful daughter-in-law who has it out for her. She even has them convinced that I'm jealous of her, dangerous, terrifying, weight loss. So we're wiping our hands of her. Either she's in danger, or she's fine and it's just a diet. You can't have it both ways, cruise control. The narrative right now is that she's fine, so as far as we're concerned she's fine. Therapy is good. We've gotten some great advice on how to handle the situation. DH is still worried sick, because the situation blows. He's let go of believing that the solution is in his hands though. He feels strongly that this is all on her. That's all I can ask for right now, that he won't beat himself up. She texted me about how I'm bitch after she received a welfare check. As always, I am 100% to blame and DH must not know that I'm doing these things to her. DH has gotten some texts. They're all unrelated to her hunger strike. She's trying to act like things are normal. She asked him to come to her apartment and do something to fix her computer, an old favorite bullshit invented errand of hers. Well, now we know she's still in her apartment. I guess her landlord changed his mind about kicking her out. So, that's that. She isn't being cared for by any professionals, she hasn't been sectioned. I wonder how bad she really is because she is still going to work, according to her texts. Maybe she tried to look especially bad in the video she sent us. For all we know she has faked the whole thing. We haven't seen her in person. Update 4. DH got the call from the hospital and then he called me. Cruise control went to work this morning and then collapsed. She was taken to the hospital and she's being given fluids because she was so dehydrated. That's all we know. The call wasn't from cruise control and it didn't come from her cell phone. The call was through work, and the call was forwarded to his desk. Assumedly, cruise control told a nurse DH's name and workplace and asked them to notify him. She knows we ignore calls from her number. We're debating how to proceed. We're both still at work. DH thinks it would be good to give her healthcare provider some info, such as the video, but I told him that we don't know if she's really starving herself, we just know what she claims. If she's starving herself then doctors and nurses will be able to tell. Surely that would be one of the first things they'd notice? I want to show her that we will not magically reappear the moment her ass hits a hospital bed. I keep telling him that I'm worried that she will learn that putting herself in the hospital is the best way to get our attention. If she does this over and over, she will destroy her kidneys. Part of me wants to just call the hospital myself and then text DH that I've already handled it, but I'm trying to let him think his way through this stuff and coming to a good solution himself. The therapist warned me against infantilizing him because I've expressed frustration with him in a way that shows I don't think he's capable of making the smart choice. Since his mom already treats him like a child, I need to show him that I know and believe he is a capable adult. This will be my exercise in showing him I believe in him. I told him my thoughts and concerns. Now he needs to choose. Update 5. Cruise Control is trying. In her way, she really has followed all of the rules we gave her. We told her that we would think about attending therapy with her if she asked. She can't help but act weepy when we interact with her, but she stops short of using guilt trips because she knows it'll result in timeout. She hasn't been allowed to set foot in our house and we've only seen her in person once. We do a phone/FaceTime call once a week. DH verified with the therapist that Cruise Control isn't making this up and trying to force a surprise meeting. I was shocked, but DH was the one who thought of that. It didn't even cross my mind. It will be us, CC, and CC's therapist. This therapist won't have met us before this point. It seems worrisome to me that we will have to represent ourselves and our point of view as two people to a therapist that already knows Cruise Control. An hour just isn't enough to convey how bad things got. I'm sure Cruise Control didn't say the worst parts of her behavior, since she can't recognize them herself. My son and his wife wouldn't let me crash on their couch for a few weeks and it made me so depressed I stopped eating. Sounds better than I tried to manipulate my son and his wife into letting me move in temporarily when I had no intention of moving out, and when it didn't work I threw a fit and went on a hunger strike. This is really important to DH and I'm going. We talked it over with our own therapist and agreed that we aren't going to expect this meeting to show any progress. It hasn't been that long and Cruise Control is really deep in her reality. All we can do is share our side of the story with the therapist to give some context and hope that it benefits Cruise Control's progress. She's lied and changed her story to her doctors, so we assume she's lying to her therapist too. We told her at the beginning that we expect her to be honest with her therapist and that if we find out she's been lying, she's on timeout for 6 months. The fact that she wants us to see her therapist despite that means that she either hopes we won't stick to it or she really is trying with the therapist. We'll see. I'm afraid to walk in and be lectured by a therapist who has been lied to and believes that DH and I are abusing poor little Cruise Control. We will have no issue putting her on timeout if that happens, but it will suck for DH. He's been a little more optimistic than I've been. We decided that we should come in prepared with at least one thing we would like to talk about, but we have 3 in case time allows. In order, the fact that she makes DH hide half of his family from her. The fact that she refused for a long time to let us have free time without her and crashed several dates and day trips. The fact that her reactions to things aren't proportional to how serious they are, scream crying if we don't let her attend our date with us. We think these will give the therapist insight and things to discuss in future appointments with her. A little extra story for you all, we decided that we're done catering our actual home to Cruise Control's sensitivities. Remember how she acts like she's been betrayed if we even mention DH's awesome stepsisters and stepmom? We finally printed some pictures with them and added them to our picture wall. We had some upstairs in the hallway, but now they're prominently displayed in our living room. This was a while ago, but I waited to post it because it took DH and I a while to absorb it and talk it over. Our own therapist that we've been seeing, who we really like, gave us the advice that we should act businesslike and refuse to give hugs or make small talk. Not to be mean, but to make sure that therapy with Cruise Control doesn't become a way for her to sneak around LC and force interaction. We needed to set the tone for serious work to be done rather than rug sweeping. So of course we show up and Cruise Control fucking leaps at us. DH and I dodged her and DH said, "Mom, this is not the time nor the place. We all need to take this seriously." She said, "Not even a hug?" And he replied, "Not even a hug, go DH." We had emailed the therapist beforehand, but we also brought a hard copy of our list. Therapist asked us if we had anything to say before we got started. DH piped up and said, "Yes, I want to address what just happened outside of the office so that Cruise Control understands our reasoning." We spent a few minutes on that and Cruise Control said she understood. The therapist said that she was going to focus on the bullet points on our list that involve the 3 of us rather than those that are observational about Cruise Control's behavior, understandable, and she went straight for the moving in debacle. I was glad because we still don't understand what was going on and we can't be 100% sure that she wanted to live with us permanently. When it was time for Cruise Control to start talking, she was tearing up. She said that she hated her apartment and wanted to leave, it was too dark and it makes her depressed, and she had decided to live on cruise ships for half the summer. DH said, "You told us you would be doing it for 4 months and now it's 1 month?" And she said that she had other plans for the middle of the summer that she couldn't tell us about because she felt that DH's feelings would be hurt. We had no idea what she was talking about. I can't think of a vacation she'd be able to go on that would hurt our feelings, other than crashing our own. The therapist said that if feelings are going to be hurt, therapy is a good place to process that. She sighed and said okay, and then she tells us her real plans that I still think are sketchy as fuck. Now her story is, "I felt that you would be lonely without me all summer, so I wanted to stay with you for a while so you know I still care about you. I met a man online who lives in vacation destination, and we were going to spend a month together. I was going to take a cruise before and after the trip to see this man so that I could say that I met him on the cruise by accident. I just didn't want you to feel abandoned. We were just like, WTF? Why would we care if you're dating? We'd both be ecstatic. DH reminded her that he has a close relationship with his stepmom and dad. I said that we'd be happy to see her find someone to spend time with because she seems lonely. Cruise Control refused to accept this. She believed we must be lying to her and that DH would have been distraught if she moved on from her divorce in the late Cretaceous era. Therapist kept saying to Cruise Control that we seemed pretty genuine. Now that we were on the subject, we spoke for a while about what a burden it is to be 100% of her social calendar and how we would love to see her find some friends or a hobby. DH said that he was worried about the new job and whether it was real and hoped she was going to be okay, because we can't take her in if her employment doesn't work out. When asked if the job is real, she just said the job is there if I want it. She couldn't give us a yes or no. I am terrified that she's going to suddenly become desperate for a place to live and need us to help her. The last thing we did was state our boundaries. We said she cannot live with us ever and that's a hard boundary. We said we'd do therapy with her no more than twice a month and that we would stop if we suspected she was lying to the therapist or using therapy as a way to get her DH fix instead of working on herself. We also said we were unwilling to let visits get to the point they were ever again. We understood that weaning her off might be good for her, but it would be very, very bad for us. We also shared a list of things we'd like to see from her, like an apology, genuine attempts to find new people to socialize with, honesty, and for her to get used to the fact that DH's stepfamily is a huge part of our lives. We haven't agreed to go back and we haven't been asked. All we can hope for is that we gave the therapist some things to ask Cruise Control about. She needs a diagnosis like yesterday. We haven't been seeing her in person. We have a policy she doesn't know about, which is that she can call all she wants but we will only pick up twice a week. If she calls more than once in a day she's on a secret timeout. She hasn't tried to drop by because she knows that means time out for a long time. We've been seeing my family and DH's dad/stepfamily a lot more, which has been wonderful. My parents are pretty neat in general but my mom and I are especially close. She has this really cool ability to translate what you're trying to say when you can't find the words. This has been coming in super handy because so much is just so wrong with Cruise Control. DH and I are a bit thrown by the weird therapy session where we're 90% sure she lied her ass off after being told over and over a condition of your timeout parole is not fucking lying anymore. She seems so confident that it makes you question reality a bit. There are severe consequences for the lies, so why lie? You could just say sorry? We're trying to work with you dumb cankle. I am just flabbergasted. And a bit tired. We can't prove she's lying just yet and we haven't chosen how to proceed. We're talking it out with our therapist. Currently the thought is let's cut her off for a year and let her sink or swim, and after a year hopefully she'll have found something to fulfill her needs and won't try to down us again. I like this idea. We have had one meeting with her since the therapy appointment. We met at a Starbucks for half an hour to talk about her therapy progress. We asked her to consider seeing a psychiatrist. She agreed, anything to appease us, and that means nothing because she says what she thinks we want to hear. She reiterated that everything she said in therapy was true and we expressed that we are skeptical. She said that hurts her feelings but she understands. Every interaction we have with her is fake. We're at a standstill until we choose how to go forward. We visited my parents yesterday and vented about the lies, the stranglehold Cruise Control has had on our lives, and how we don't see a way forward because she's incapable of being genuine. DH was trying to explain how her manufactured drama used to feel so normal to him. Now that he's had a break from it he can see how ridiculous it is, but he still feels the training kick in and automatically thinks how can I make this better? Until he realizes wait, that's not my job. He was trying to explain how he knows she is really upset and feels like the world is ending, but from the outside looking in he has second-hand embarrassment from her behavior over inconsequential bullshit. My mom summed it up beautifully. She said she gets frequent and sudden cases of the fee-fees doesn't she? DH giggled at that way of putting it. Somehow hearing Cruise Control's behavior summed up as poor whittle fee-fees rings truer than she is probably experiencing separation anxiety or perhaps she is having a manic episode. Holy shit guys, it felt so good to not use therapy talk and be gracious and polite about how screwed up she is. We all sat around and shared Cruise Control stories. I think we're both starting to think that we've been taking Cruise Control too seriously. She is a ridiculous, silly person. We're going to start regarding her as such. She gets to be treated like an adult when she acts like one. My mom had a Cruise Control story that I hadn't even heard before. Back when we thought we might get to have a normal wedding, my mom was invited to go shopping for mob/mog dresses by Cruise Control. She went even though the wedding was barely in the fetal stage. It was a wedding zygote. No details other than yeah, we'd like to do this sometime. My mom humored her and they went shopping because she thought it might be good to get to know her better. Cruise Control spent the whole day finding ways to mention her own wedding to Phil a million years ago and cry. They'd look at pink dresses and it would be oh, this color reminds me of the color of the sunset on the day I got married. I'm so sorry, I don't know why I'm tearing up. It's just so hard to think about. My mom was nearly crying with laughter when she recounted that Cruise Control had picked up an ivory dress and said oh, this is just the color of the cake at my wedding. Sob. Sob. It was hiccup ah ha 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 moond. Sob. She also kind of told us, in her very sweet but holds no bars way, that as a mother she would be appalled at herself if she did any of the things that cruise control does, that she is full of shit, and that we can call her anytime she is causing trouble and she'll take care of her. She said if you need to pick up the phone and ask a mother's opinion if she's over the line, you can always do that. The answer in that case is probably yes, but call anyway. We love to hear from you.